Today, we're looking at a blue-black ink by Bookbingers, the red-bellied black snake. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, there's timestamps down below so that you can skip around to the parts you're most interested in, or if you watch the whole thing, I'd appreciate you. You can follow me on Instagram, and if you're new here and like fountain pen inks as much as I do, I would invite you to subscribe. In order to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then inked up the Duke 209 with a Fude nib to write for a day and take the notes for this video. For the first writing sample, I always use Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. There is an additional writing sample that'll happen later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, so it came in a vial like this. And to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X 450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X 750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 13 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 17 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both shows no color variation because there was none. Tomoe River. With no bleeding, normal Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is a little lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 18 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 40 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any. And Rhodia. With no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is a little lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 14 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 19 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both show us no color variation, and there was none. I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this blue working its way up and the black up at the top. So it's just your normal blue-black in that way. Now the one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And we see that the blue is the stay-in-place color. The black is very much moving. The blue is the part that we're expecting to have a little bit of permanence to it. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page and how hard it may be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, there is a lot of blowout that has occurred in all of this writing. I don't want to risk my notes, and so I would not use it in a note-taking situation if I want to go back and highlight. Now, water is lifting all of the black elements, not the blue elements, out of this ink. That blue is still very much there, not budging. And it was a little bit of a fighter in the converter. Pen Flush is starting to break the blue down off the paper. It's really starting to break it up. And it did break it up in the pen. It's what I used to get it out of my pen. 1/3 bleach solution completely removed it from the paper, and I didn't need it. As far as viscosity or flow, for the inks I've tested, I've found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Bookbingers Red-Bellied Black Snake has a viscosity of 1.65, making this a very wet ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average all of those. Now for the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Bookbingers Red-Bellied Black Snake has an average dry time of 20 seconds, making this normal. Instead of finding inks that look like Bookbingers Red-Bellied Black Snake, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I went for a nice magenta, and I chose Diamine Amaranth. The second writing sample is done on Levenger, Strathmore writing, and Limone paper. Here we're looking at Levenger paper. Now we get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 8 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 11 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we don't get any. Strathmore writing paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is just a tad lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 9 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both shows no color variation, and we didn't get any. And Limone paper with no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is a tad, just a tone lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 8 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both shows no color variation, and we didn't get any. That is all that I have for writing samples. So what do I think of Bookbinger's red-bellied black snake? This is a blue-black that is so dark it's black. Now, while it's black on the page, it is very well behaved and it does look nice as a black. Just not what I would prefer in a blue-black ink. What nib and pen is going to give the best writing experience with this ink? No matter what pen I put it into, I couldn't get a hint of the blue in this blue-black. It was always very black. So no matter what pen you use, no matter the flow, you're going to get a very black-leaning blue-black. This is dealer's choice. I'm going to remind you that I'm here every day with a new ink review. Thanks for watching.